Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP Beastmaster build guide for in Baldur's Gate 3. So the Beastmaster is a very underrated class in Baldur's Gate 3, so we're going to go here with our favorite enemy. Now this is giving you different proficiencies and the ability to cast some cantrips. I think that one of the best ones to go with early on is Ranger Knight, as this is going to give you the skill proficiency in history and armor proficiency with heavy armor. So right off the get we can get heavy armor. Not super useful at the end game because I think that it's actually better to go with medium armor, and I'll get into why at the end of the video. But for first level we can go with Ranger Knight. And then we also got the option for Natural Explorer. This can give you Find Familiar without expending a spell slot, which is quite nice. And then we could also get resistances to cold, fire, or poison damage. Or proficiency in Sleight of Hand, but that's better if you get like a rogue. I think that it's good to go with like fire resistance, but Beast Tamer being one of the best. And then for our ability scores, now there's a few different ways we can go about doing this. We can dump our charisma, and wisdom's what we're going to be using for our spell casting, so we can have that roughly around there. And then we want to have our constitution rather high as well, because that's going to be what we use for, I guess, for our health and overall survivability. So you can either take your charisma or wisdom, constitution or wisdom up to 16. I like having higher constitution just for survivability's sake. If you get to Act 3 though, there is a constitution amulet you can get, so you can dump that stat as well. But we're gonna go with something like this for our stats. And yeah, I'll go over all the gear options as well for this too. So we're gonna level up here. At level 2, we get ourselves a fighting style, and we get ourselves some spells. I think the best two ranger ones is Hail of Thorns and Ensnaring Strike. Don't be afraid to take Speak with Animals, though, if you don't have someone that can do that, because Speak with Animals is super useful in a variety of different situations, and it's just cool for role-playing. So yeah, I also think that Hunter's Mark is not bad, because this is a bonus action concentration that's going to deal increased damage, so you can go with that, but I wouldn't recommend going for Cure Wounds. Using your action to heal is not the best. In the action economy of Baldur's Gate 3, it's better to deal damage than it is to heal. And for our fighting style, plus 2 bonus to ranged weapon attacks, that just means we're going to hit our archery shots more frequently. You can go with something like defense, which will give you a +1 to armor class while wearing armor, which is nice. But making sure that you hit your shots is quite important early on. So we know with that there. And as we get to level 3, we get ourselves another spell. I think that Hunter's Mark is kind of a nice one. Just is a bonus action. Dealing more damage can help you blitz down someone. And then there's even items in the game that'll increase your damage to anyone that's targeted by Hunter's Mark. So that's quite nice. For our subclass, this is where it gets interesting. I think that the best ranger ones are Hunter and Beastmaster. Gloomstalker is great if you multi-class, because the first 6 levels of Gloomstalker gives you all the benefits. And it gives you the ability to attack first, more initiative, etc. But Beastmaster, Ranger's Companion, gain a Beast Companion that accompanies you on your adventures and fights alongside you. This is pretty good, and I'll get into why. We can choose different animals like a bear. I think the bear is probably my favorite. And then as we get to level 11, they can summon in another bear. So you can get 2 bears that are very good for tanking. And it just helps out with like the survivability of your team. Now, for our feats, there's a few options that we can go with. I guess some people's favorite is going with the Sharpshooter, which gives you a -5 penalty to attack rolls, but it deals an additional 10 damage. And if you're using the hand crossbows, that can get quite decent. There's also some other options like medium armor. When you wear medium armor, doesn't disadvantage stealth checks. I don't normally recommend going with these, but it can have some usefulness here. Using the armor that I'm using there, it's not really the absolute best option, but I think ability improvement's kind of the way to go here. You can take your dexterity up to, if you're doing this on your Tav, use your Hag's Hair on dexterity to take it to 20. Otherwise, we're going to split that between wisdom to keep those both at 16. But again, if this is for your main character, use the Hag's Hair, increase the dexterity. That's going to be the best bet, because you can get your dexterity up a little bit higher and save yourself a feat down the road. Now for our spells, at level 5 we get extra attack, and this is where the class starts to feel a bit more offensive, because it also gets the Companion's Bod. You add your proficiency bonus to the armor class and damage rolls of the summoned in animal that you have, so you're going to have a +4 to its armor class as well as its damage rolls, which is really nice to have that extra flat out damage. And then we also get level 2 spells, which I think Spike Growth is nice, because this creates difficult terrain, so it's going to half movement speed, and also deals piercing damage, so that's quite nice. Silence can be an option too to shut down enemy mages, or dark vision, but there's other ways to go about dark vision. We also got darkness, and we can see in dark, so yeah, don't really need that as a drow. But into level 6, we get our next favorite enemy, so you can go with like Bounty Hunter, which will creatures you hit with Ensnaring Strike have disadvantages on their saving throw, which means that if you use Ensnaring Strike, it's going to have a higher chance of hitting and landing its Ensnaring Strike, which is super useful. For our Natural Explorer, cold, whatever damage you find yourself coming across most frequently, poison's probably the most common, but fire and cold damage can be much more devastating. Poison attacks aren't normally super heavy unless it's like Cloud Kill, which is easy to get out of the way. So we're going to go with fire here, because that can be pretty nice to get resistance to. Cold can be nice too, especially if you have water set up, because water is going to double the damage of cold. But that's what we're going to go with for there. We get to choose another one down the road. So for our level 7 spell, there's a few options. Protection from poison can be okay if you wanted to reduce poison, but I do like silence. I also like Speak with Animals. I think Speak with Animals is super useful, and it should be on a ranger. If you don't have it on anyone else, take it. If not, take Long Strider, because you can cast this as a ritual. Put it on your fighter. They get an increased 3 meters movement speed until long rest. Super useful. Just overall, having more movement speed is never a bad idea. So at level 8, we have the Land Stride, become an expert through moving through wilderness. Difficult terrain no longer slows you down. So super nice. Not being slowed down is very effective here. We're also going to take our dexterity up to 20, because dexterity is everything with this build. The ranger uses it for their armor as well as their damage, so you want to make sure that your dexterity is high as possible. At level 3 spell slots here for level 9, we do get the option between Lightning Arrow and Conjure Barrage, chilling your weapon's essence into a destructive widespread volley, so that can deal a cone of damage outwards, which is nice. Or Lightning Arrow would be good if you have a team of sorcerers that are abusing Create Water to deal double damage, because this will deal upwards of 96 damage with Lightning Arrow if you have water set up, so that could be really nice. We're going to go with Barrage, though, just for the area of effect damage, then we can take Lightning Arrow on our next level. At level 10, this is where we get ourselves the Hide in Plain Sight. Camouflage yourself, become invisible, gain +1 to stealth checks as long as you stand still. So that's quite nice. We get our second favored enemy here, so you can get like protection from good and evil, which is pretty okay. Sacred Flame, not the best cantrip, but it can be one that you can get. I would do anything but take True Strike. Advantage on your next attack roll is not very good. So Sacred Flame or protection from good and evil, whatever you think is better for your team. I'm going to go with protection good and evil. Wasteland Wanderer Cold to prevent cold damage. And that's it for level 10. Pretty decent level overall. Level 11, we get to choose ourselves another spell, but we also get the Bestial Fury. So your bond with your companion is deepened, unlocking the inner strength and giving them an extra attack. So your summons are going to be much stronger now. And we also get to take Lightning Arrow, which is fantastic because, as I said, it can deal upwards of 96 damage if there's Create Water set up. I'd recommend building around that if you have a team. And then for final level, we get level 12. And usually I like to add in like a wizard mix, because you can, depending if you value the feat more or if you want to add in wizard to get a few extra spells, and then you'd have to use the intelligence circlet to cast them. But you could get a few spells from the wizard, but I think it's best to go with another feat. And Alert is great for +5 initiative, can't be surprised. This is super life-changing and especially nice as a ranger, as you want to go first and try to snare enemies. So Alert is a pretty effective choice. You could go with Alert, that's one great option. But you could also go with Sharpshooter. What this does is it gives you a -5 penalty to attack roll, but deal an additional 10 damage, and then you don't receive penalty from high ground rules. So that means you're going to be hitting more frequently, and you can turn this off too. But when it's on, you deal 10 more damage. That is really powerful. And with our stats the way they are, we're not going to be missing very often, so no need to worry there. For our armor, we got a nice armor class of 24 there, and this gives us the Helm of Baldur, which this helmet heals you for 2 points at the beginning of each turn. +1 armor class. There's a lot of other helmets there. Like, I do think that the Circlet of Hunting's nice because you can use Hunter's Mark, and this is going to give you additional 1d4 damage or bonus to attack rolls against it, so you're going to be hitting much more frequently. Deathstalker Mantle, if you're the Dark Urge, turning invisible is huge, but also even the Cloak of Displacement to give disadvantage to the first attack roll each turn, or Shadeslayer Cloak to deal additional or deal more critical hits. Super nice. Now, the Armor of Agility adds your full dexterity modifier to your armor class, which is massive. And if you're going into Act 3, you can use the Mirror of Loss to get a +6, which will take your armor class up to 25, which is incredible. Dark Justiciar Gauntlets will give 1d4 necrotic damage, which is really nice. But there's a lot of different gloves that are good. This is like the most... I think gloves has the best armor in the game. There's a lot of great options for it. Evasive Shoes, +1 armor class with +1 acrobatics. Killer Sweetheart, next attack roll will be a critical hit if you kill a creature, and you can toggle this on or off, which is really nice, just free critical. Risky Ring to get advantage on attack rolls and disadvantage on saving throws. You're not going to hit with as many saving throws, so the Risky Ring's not that bad. And then for our amulet here, Surgeon Subjugation Amulet, when you hit a critical hit, paralyze them for 2 turns. You can also put on the Greater Health Amulet, which will take our health up to 148 from 112. So once you're in Act 3, that can be fantastic as well, just for survivability. But go with either of those that you think works best for your team. If you want that on a wizard, it's probably better to leave that on the wizard. Now we can also go with taking a shield, because the shield is going to give us increased armor class, and the Sentinel Shield will give us a +2 to initiative, so we can get a nice 26 armor class. I like having the Bloodthirst Blade here. This gives you when you hit an enemy with this, it gives them vulnerability to piercing damage, which is what your bows deal. So that's really great. You can go with I like the dual crossbows, but you can also go with the Goner Mail here, which gives you on hit possibly inflict Guiding Bolt, which will increase your attack rolls against it. This also gives you haste, which is super effective. Haste is a fantastic thing to have because that gives you an extra action for more attacks. Or you can go with these. I like the Hellfire Handbow, possibly inflict burning when hitting a creature while invisible, or hiding, which we're going to be able to do that often because we also have our hide in plain sight. But then also the Firestoker deals additional damage to burning targets, so these two go together very well. And that is that for the Beastmaster Ranger. Now, what's nice about the Beastmaster Rangers, it's got a lot of utility with having the Find Familiars, so you can have you can pull in your frog or whatever you want for your partner there. So you can have the Conjured Frog, but then we also get our Ranger Companion. So there's bears, boars, wolf spider, dire raven, and wolf. And I like the bear because it's a tank, and that can just help out with survivability. So we got some bears there. Whenever you call in your Ranger's Companion, if you switch to them, they can call in Ursine reinforcements, so they can call in another bear. That's just freaking amazing. So 2 bears, they get an increased armor class, increased attack. They can attack twice. They can disarm your target. You can pick up the weapon, and then they're pretty much useless. You can use Goading Roar to have the bear tank for you. So the bears are actually really nice companions to have. But I encourage you to experiment around. Every short rest, you can swap out your animals. So, yeah, the Beastmaster is pretty powerful. And you can even go with multiple Beastmasters because they are pretty great. So, that is that. The most OP Beastmaster build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. Hope you found this video useful. And if you did, please hit the subscribe button below. And I'll see you in the next video.